Meanwhile, the virus from China continues to kill people the world over. Australia is bracing for a second wave. Brazil has reported more than 30,000 cases in the last 24 hours. These stories and more on the Gravitas Coronavirus Tracker.
Australia reported its biggest one-day rise in new Wuhan virus infections in more than 2 months. The state of Victoria is faring the worst. This is Australia's biggest daily outbreak in 2.5 months and has stoked fears of a second wave. Brazil once again reported more than 30,000 new cases in the last 24 hours. More than 1.3 million people have been infected. More than 57,000 people have died. The country's most populous state of Sao Paulo is the worst affected, with more than 271,000 cases, followed by Rio de Janeiro with 111,000 plus infections. Despite the rising cases, Rio opened stores, hairdressing shops and beauty salons after more than 100 days of shutdown. The United Arab Emirates will not receive passengers coming from Pakistan until a special COVID-19 lab is set up to test them. The decision also applies to transit flights originating from Pakistan, where the number of cases is rising rapidly. Pakistan has more than 2 lakh cases. Wuhan virus cases dropped by 19% in the last week in Chile, but the lockdown restrictions have tightened after a partial reopening led to an explosion of cases earlier. Residents in Santiago are not allowed to travel freely without permission. Chile has reported over 271,000 cases and 5,509 deaths so far. The number of confirmed COVID-19 cases in the United States has surpassed 2.54 million. Over 125,768 people have died in America, which is the worst hit country in the world. New York remains the hardest hit state with 31,397 deaths. Poland is holding the first round of presidential election. The polls were expected to take place on the 10th of May, but were delayed by the COVID-19 pandemic. To avoid clusters of Wuhan virus infections at polling stations, voters can choose between going to a station or voting by mail. Voters are needed to wear masks and maintain social distancing. The staff at polling stations have been provided protective suits. India will build a new plasma bank in Delhi to fight the Wuhan virus. This comes after India reported nearly 20,000 new coronavirus infections over the past 24 hours. New Delhi has become the worst hit city in India with more than 88,000 confirmed cases. India has reported almost 550,000 cases, the 4th highest globally, behind the United States, Brazil and Russia. South Korea reported 42 new cases as the infection steadily declined in the greater capital area. The rise in cases has forced authorities to consider stronger social restrictions. 24 of the new cases were reported from capital Seoul and nearby metropolitan areas. The region has been at the center of a virus resurgence since late May. A caravan protest was staged against Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador. Thousands of vehicles beeped their horns as they drove down Reforma Avenue to the center of the city, demanding Obrador's resignation. At the center of the discontent is lack of security and the economic devastation worsened by the Wuhan virus pandemic. Iran reported 162 deaths from the Wuhan virus. This is the highest single-day death toll since the country's outbreak began in February. The previous record daily death toll of 158 deaths was reported by health authorities in early April. Official figures have shown an upward trajectory in new confirmed cases since early May in Iran. Bangladesh's Defense Secretary Abdullah Al-Mohsin Chaudhry has died from Wuhan virus. He had tested positive on the 6th of June and was shifted to the intensive care unit on the 18th of June after his condition deteriorated. Abdullah Mohsin died on Monday morning after suffering a cardiac arrest.